Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Your Real Estate Tea, where we teach you so you can become educated to achieve. I'm Andrea Farley, real estate broker with Maximum One Realtor Partners. And on this show today, we will also continue our conversation talking about the market today. We're in a very unique market. We will also be discussing scenarios that maybe some buyers and sellers are experiencing in this very unusual market. So if this is pertaining to you or someone you may know, please definitely stay tuned into this show. So today I have a co-host and guest, Judge Parker. He is a lead instructor for TAP Real Estate School in Fayetteville, Georgia, where they offer pre-licensed class for real estate. So, Judge, I want to welcome you to the show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. And so, guys, we do want to let you know that we do stream on Tuesdays at 12:30, streaming on Roku TV. You can search by TV 1061, and you can look up Your Real Estate Tea. And we also stream on Facebook Live, Your Real Estate Tea. So, one of my favorite phrases is to say, real estate is always a good investment. And we will also talk about why that is. So guys, again today, let's just talk about this market. Again, I've already mentioned to you that is a very unique market because both buyers and sellers can actually be pushed out of this market. You may be asking yourself how? Well, buyers because of the inventory, and sellers because of the same reason, the inventory. So sellers are having to move somewhere after they sell their home, whether they're relocating to a different state or if they're just moving to another location in the state of Georgia. Because the inventory is so tight, that is also creating some challenges. So we definitely want to give you some tips and ideas and advice and offer solutions on how you can handle these situations and how to best proceed. And again, if you guys need any assistance or have any questions, you can definitely reach me at 404-965-5041. So let's first talk about the mortgage rates. Freddie Mac reports the national mortgage rate for the week ending March 11th. 30-year fixed rate mortgage is averaged to 3.05%. So it was a slight increase from last week, where last week was 3.02%. And just comparing to this time, 2020, last year, the rate was 3.36%. And the 15-year fixed rate mortgage averages now 2.38%. And last week it was 2.34%. So in comparison to last year, 2020, this time it was 2.77 for a 15-year fixed rate. So let's also just talk about some information regarding the monthly housing market report. And it's showing, guys, that 200,000 new listings are missing from the market, and that is nationally. So there has been a 48.6% decline from last year, from 2020. Now, we all know that there was a decline in 2020 as well. So newly listed properties declined by 24.5% nationally and 23.5% for large metro areas over the past year. So Metro Atlanta new listings have decreased by 24.3%. And the median list price for Metro Atlanta is $377,500. And the average days on market is 37 days. Also, it shows that the purchase applications have increased. And I believe that that's due to, buyers are looking at, hey, these rates are increasing. What do you think, Judge, is contributing?
Well, the rates have gone up a little bit. I think that buyers are also looking at the fact that there's not a lot of houses on the market, and they're getting into these crazy bidding wars regarding it. So the buyers are kind of discouraged because they don't have any leverage. The sellers have all of the leverage at the present time. So I think that contributes a big piece of why buyers are, exiting the market to some degree. Now, they're not going to ever totally leave the market, but I get why they are frustrated because of the market is that there's just not a lot of houses on the market for the buyers to purchase. So that is the issue. And I think that once it changes, then you will see much more buyer confidence in the market. But then the market changes again. It now becomes a buyer's market more so than a seller's market. When that pendulum swings, it's going to swing pretty heavily because there is a huge pent-up demand and not a lot of properties available. But when that pent-up demand changes and the properties become available, it's going to be so rapid until the market becomes saturated with properties, and then you'll see a different pendulum swing where buyers will be able to say, okay, I got my choice, Mr. and Mrs. Seller.
Right.
You say you want 150 for yours. Well, there's another one down the road that's for 97. Same number of bedrooms, same number of baths.
Right.
So the yard may not be as nice as yours, but I'm still saving $6,000-$7,000. Oh no, excuse me, I'm still saving $30,000-$40,000. So what you want to do? So that's when the things will change at that point. That's when you will see the pendulum swing, and people will have to start. Okay, this just got real, and it's gonna get real fast.
Yes, right. Yeah, definitely. It will come to a point where the buyers will have the leverage. But is that happening today? No. Will it happen anytime soon? What do you think? This year? No, probably not. What do you think, Judge?
Well, no, I think that I don't think it's as far off as most think that it is. I think that it's probably much closer than where we think. 6-8 months maybe. I don't see that being far-fetched. I see, I see that changing. And the reason why I say that is because there is going to be a pendulum swing in the moratorium was being lifted. So therefore, once the moratorium has been lifted, then a lot of stuff is going to change.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there some things that you can maybe think of that, homeowners can prepare, like just regarding the moratorium, just to make sure that, some of these people can, if they want to stay in their house, can stay in their houses? Do you have any, tips or any information that comes to mind regarding that, just to be able to say, hey, this is where we are, this is what, these are the policies put in place by the government, but what do I as a homeowner need to do to make sure that when this is lifted, that I'm good?
Well, yeah, that's only if they can say that when this is lifted, I'm good. But if they can't say that they're going to be good, then they need to sell, honestly. Because here's the deal. If you don't sell now and get the benefit of the sale, then you're going to find yourself in the position that you're not going to be able to reap your equity. You're going to lose.
Okay. That's true.
Your equity. So
that's
the smart thing now is to go ahead and sell.
Right.
And I know people don't want to leave their homes, and I don't think you should leave your homes unless you have to. But what sense does it make for you to have a home and not be able to get the benefit of the equity from your home if you don't sell?
Right. That makes sense. And then if you realize that you will be faced with maybe having to leave your home, then that's good advice, that basically take advantage of this market right now, because it's totally in your favor. It's totally in your favor. And then if you wait, you could potentially, lose money, have money on the table. Basically, you may not get as much for your house, or in some cases, it could be a potential loss altogether.
Well, Well, yeah,
would you say?
It will be a potential loss altogether because what will happen is that you'll lose the home and you'll lose the equity, and it also will affect your credit. So, so if your credit is not good now, then save what you can of it, salvage it as best you can is what I should say. Being able to sell your home. Yeah, granted, I get it. It's going to be a change and it will be a disruption, but that change and disruption will be more beneficial to you now.
Right.
To have to go through the foreclosure process later, and then have to deal with moving forcibly by the lender, and not getting the equity that your home could have provided you in order to move to begin with. So, and the market is high. So, in essence, you'll still get your money out of it. You'll get your equity, less whatever it is that you haven't paid in your mortgage, but you would still come out on top. And yeah, granted, I understand it's a little difficult to even find rentals. Rentals are even tough to find.
Right.
You know,
and they're expensive too.
Hard to find.
Right.
Good apartments are hard to find. So all of these things have a huge impact as to whether or not it will be, you know, how quickly it flows, how smoothly it flows, or how effectively it flows. So you got to make sure that you go ahead and do the right things with that. To ensure that everybody who is in those positions understand that, hey, I can't sit back and wait for something to happen. I got to make it happen, and me making it happen allows me to benefit, versus me not doing anything allows me to lose.
Right, absolutely. It's just about being proactive instead of reactive, guys. That's the bottom line. And you can look at different things. You can, you know, get legal advice. Talk to some like trusted lenders. Who else can, you know, attorneys,
CPAs. Those guys can help you with that from a financial perspective.
Okay.
But the thing about it is that, you know, your realtor is your friend at this point. A realtor is somebody who can make sure that you are in a position to benefit the most from when you sell. So you want to go ahead and start talking to one now. Because trust me, when this market pendulum swings, it is not going to give you what you're getting right now.
Right.
You're not going to get the benefit. You're not going to get the impact. You're not going to get all of those things that the market is presently offering you. It will go away, and it'll go away quickly. And you'll be trying to figure out, well, why is it that I can't get what was 6 months ago? You know, I always hear people in the past tell me that, well, you know, my friend bought this house at this time, and they only paid X for it. I said, but that was at that time. Times have changed.
Right.
So you can't expect for it to remain the same.
Right.
When it changes, you got to get on it right away. Because if you don't get on it right away, you lose.
Right.
You lose much faster than what you would have gained.
Right.
Get on it.
And I would agree. Every transaction is kind of an individualized, you know, scenario, because you don't know what may be going on with that seller. You don't know, you know, what was agreed upon. Sometimes your friends don't tell you everything. They don't tell you all the details. And that's a fact. So, you know, but again, you cannot compare your home ownership path to your friend's home ownership path. Will some things be the same? Yes. Will some things be different? Absolutely. But again, your real estate professional can definitely advise you. You definitely want to have a professional who is abreast and aware of market conditions, and someone who can educate you, you know, give you sound advice, someone who is, you know, going to give you all the options and not just, and have your best interests. That's key. But guys, we want to hold tight for just a moment. We're going to take a brief intermission, and we will be right back with your real estate tea. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Dynasty. Welcome to TV 1061. Join our network and broadcast your event live across the continent. Come to our studio and film and stream your talk show, sitcom, showcase, and broadcast it worldwide. Combine multimedia with your live stream. Independent filmmakers, show your movie and afterwards interview your cast live. Sponsors, advertisers, I'm talking to you. This is your chance for global exposure. These are very exciting times we live in. Traditional TV is all but a thing of the past. TV 1061 is now on the Roku platform with a viewership of 46 million and counting. Roku is an industry leader in internet TV. It is the most popular and fastest growing internet TV platform. If you are interested in developing and streaming your own show or movie, or coming in as a sponsor or an advertiser, please send your contact information with a short description of your interest to 1061tv@gmail.com. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Harry Lennox, and you're watching TV 1061, your global network.
Welcome back to Your Real Estate Tea, where we teach you so you can become educated to achieve. I'm Andrea Farley. I have on the line my guest and co-host, Judge Parker. Thank you so much for joining us back to continue our conversation about this unique market that we're in 2021, and what you can do as home buyers and home sellers being faced with different circumstances that apply to today. So, Judge, were we going to pick back up regarding the sellers, or let's talk about the buyers?
Let me do a recap real quick, and just for the sake of people who are listening, who've thought about selling, and again, you might be in the midst of potentially foreclosure, but you can't afford to make those payments. Let me say this too before we move to the buyer side. A lot of individuals did what they would call a forbearance.
Right.
And the forbearance is different than a deferment, and people don't understand that there's a difference there. The forbearance meaning that you don't have to pay now, but when the time comes, you got to pay all of those payments that were forbeared.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, they gave you a 4-month forbearance, then on the 5th month, you got to pay those 4 plus the 5th month. So that means you got to catch up really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you know you cannot do that, and you want to put yourself in a position to not lose your equity in your home, I would suggest that you sell the property.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just would suggest that you sell, because if you know you can't keep it and maintain it, get out of it and not lose it, but then put yourself in a position to get something from it and move on to the next one. Save your credit and your dignity and your pride. Nobody wants to go through a foreclosure.
Right.
And that way you're able to understand what needs to happen moving forward. So that's one aspect for the seller, because there's a lot of houses that's not on the marketplace, and that people are ready to buy.
Right.
So the sellers will put themselves in a position to benefit. Now,
Right.
for the buyers, what the buyers would need to do is start looking at the fact that, hey, homes are going to be scarce. So you have got to be ready to purchase when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be very, very scarce. And what I mean by that is that you may have one property that may have 10 offers.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to come to the table ready.
Right.
And granted, there's a lot of things that agents are doing in order to help with that process.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily recommend, but there are things that they are doing. And one thing are they're removing appraisal contingencies. Buyers are paying more than the list price. Buyers are offering different amounts of money that's a part of the contingencies and things of that nature in order for their offer to be accepted. Buyers are not asking for closing costs. Buyers are wanting to have quick closings. Buyers are doing due diligence periods at a very rapid pace and not making those things contingent.
Mm-hmm.
Those can be dangerous. They can be very dangerous. I get it,
Yeah.
It's a hot market, but you don't want to make a decision from a hot market perspective that's going to become regretful later.
Right. And let me just touch on what you're saying. So, because, we talked about the sellers being able to capitalize, so to speak, in the market. If you're faced with a hardship, or you have to do, you believe that, what, I may be potentially foreclosing. Okay, well, now you become a buyer as well. And so, and we'll just briefly touch on that. So we do, of course, as agents, we do assist you on your plan of action to be able to best get you in your next move. So we definitely have ideas that we can share with you while you're making that transition. But let's also talk about some of the things that you've just mentioned, Judge, where, you know, agents are suggesting you take out contingencies. Let's be specific about one thing that I'm experiencing now, where a seller or a buyer has promised my seller option money. Now, let's talk about the purpose of option money and how it's used, and basically how it should be handled according to the contract. And do you want?
Based upon the contract.
What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
I said all of that will be based upon the contract. How does the contract state that the option?
Right. So let's just talk about the scenario that I'm experiencing now. And so, guys, option money is basically the option that you're giving the money either to the seller, or you can apply it to your purchase price. But it also allows you to be able to extend your due diligence. And once you do that, that must be clearly stated in this contract as far as how you would like to proceed with that. And so if you choose to do that and send it to the seller, if you want to make your offer, say, you know, just real enticing, you know, people, I'd like to say people are kind of in rare form right now, because this is, again, a very unique market that we are in. And so if you want to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what I want to do for you. I want to give you this money. And this is what, if your agent has checked off these boxes, that option money goes directly to the sellers. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Judge, would you like to expound?
Yeah, well, yeah, like I said, it's based on what the contract says. But if you're using for those individuals that are in the Atlanta market or the Georgia market, and you use a realtor gone form, it clearly states that money goes to the seller. So whatever the option amount is, the seller gets it from the buyer. And that money is non-refundable, meaning that the only way that let me say this, is non-refundable, but the buyer could get it back in the event the seller defaults and doesn't show up for closing.
Right.
Then the buyer would have to sue the seller to get the option money back. But that money can be either applied towards the purchase price or not. It just depends on what the two parties negotiate. Typically, a seller is not going to want you to apply it. They want to get the purchase price plus the option money. A savvy agent will probably help their seller understand the best way to proceed with that. So it is something that buyers are using in order to come to the top of the class when it comes to offers, and make their offer stand out even more. And then another thing that I'm seeing in the market with that is an escalator clause. They're putting those escalator clauses in there along with that option money. So I don't ever recommend it, because it can become very problematic for the buyer. For two reasons. And for the seller. One reason is that the property doesn't appraise, and then the buyer has to come to closing with the difference of what the contract price is versus the appraisal. And if the buyer is getting a loan, they're going to have to pay the difference for what their down payment is on the actual appraised value. So, for instance, $200,000 house, you bid $240 on it, or you bid $220. Well, the appraisal comes back. You get a 90% loan, so the appraisal comes back at $200,000. So now the buyer has to bring the difference of that $20,000 from the appraised value to the contract price, plus 10% of the appraised value for their down payment. So that's $40,000 the buyer's got to pay out of pocket. And then
closing costs.
Closing costs as well. That's just the down payment and the difference of the contract price and the appraised value.
And then if you had option money, but go ahead.
Absolutely. Then if you pay the option money, you've already paid that. Then you got closing costs. So here's the other side. The seller in most cases is not going to want to reduce the price. They're going to want to stay with the same price, because that's the price that they agreed to.
Right.
And then if the buyer backs out, they only lose the earnest money that they put up. And then the earnest money, because the contract will clearly state in most cases that that's going to be the liquidated damages, the earnest money is the only thing they're going to lose. And then The seller's mad because now there's an appraisal on their property that's going to stay out there 8 months, and it's not going to change. So they're going to have to sell it at the $200,000. So it creates all kinds of situations. Unless the buyer's paying cash, no appraisal contingencies, no things come into play, then, you know, you can move forward. But I still say that that's not wise to buy a house over the appraised value because you're going into it with negative
equity.
Negative equity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, negative equity.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to read what this says. This is from the GAR Purchase and Sale Agreement, inspection and due diligence on the first page. And it just says for regarding option payment for due diligence period. It says, in consideration of seller granting buyer the option to terminate this agreement, buyer, I'll just skip to number 2. It says, shall pay seller additional money, option money of blank, right? So that's whatever the buyer says they want to give to the seller. That would be filled in, whatever that amount is, that dollar amount.
Right.
And it's by either check or by wire transfer of immediately available funds, either, and it's a choice, as of the offer date, or you can check off within blank days from binding agreement. So binding agreement is when both parties have agreed and, hey, we're all in agreement, so we're officially under contract. That's binding agreement. And let's see. So it says wire transfer of immediately available funds. I read that already. All right. Any additional option money paid by buyer to seller, this is an option or a check, you check it off, shall be subject to lender approval or shall not be applied towards the purchase price at closing. So if you say it's not applied towards the purchase price at closing and shall not be refundable to buyer unless the closing fails to occur due to the default of the seller.
Right.
That money is not refundable. So if you sign this dotted line on this option money and you check that box, that money is not yours anymore.
Right. Yeah, once you sign it and give it, it's gone.
Yes.
And it does not go in the broker's escrow account because that's money due the seller. Period.
Right.
They've already agreed to it in the contract.
Absolutely. That broker would be interfering with the contract and with the agreement if they decide to do it that way, and just know that that is
and
not the correct
buyer
path.
to be in breach. And,
Yes.
And then at that point, the buyer in terms could be subject to be litigation by the seller because
Right.
the buyer breached the agreement with the seller.
Right. Well, guys, time flies when you're having fun. We could talk about this stuff all day, literally. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to thank Judge Parker for being the guest and co-host. And also, I want to also thank him for sponsoring today's episode. Want to thank TAP Real Estate School. So again, I want to reiterate, if you are interested in becoming a Georgia real estate licensee, real estate professional, TAP Real Estate School in Fayetteville, Georgia, you will receive top-notch A1 training there at that location. Not at the location. It is virtual right now, of course, because of the pandemic.
We plan to be back in class maybe July, August.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you heard it. July or August, but if not, you know, the quality of training is still there, whether virtual or in person. And guys, I also want to thank you so much. Again, if you do find this information helpful to you, if you would like to donate to this particular show, our Cash App is $DREADAY511. And you can put in there your real estate tea. To find more episodes, you can go to YouTube under Dream Real Estate. And again, streaming on Roku TV and on Facebook Live under Your Real Estate Tea. Roku TV would be under TV 1061. Okay? The website for TAP Real Estate School, and I'm sorry I'm jumping around, is www.tapacademyatl.com. You can find all the information you need there. And so, guys, I want to go through the shows for the live streams for TV 1061. Tuesday at 12:30 is Your Real Estate Tea. Wednesday at 8 p.m. is The Flavor. Wednesday 9:30 is The Playlist. And also, okay, let's skip to Thursday is Bedroom Chronicles at 6 p.m. Friday, 7 p.m. is The Life Lounge. Saturday, 3:30 is The Conversation. And Sunday, 4:30 is The Talk Show Divas. The executive producer is Felix Washington, and social media director Shantae Barksdale. Cash App for TV 1061 is $TV 1061. Please donate to this TV show. That will be all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much again for tuning in. Remember, health is wealth, and real estate can be too. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much again for watching Your Real Estate Tea. Teach, educate, achieve. Have a blessed day.
Michael Kyle, you're funniest man on the planet, and you're watching TV 1061, your global network. Stay tuned, because that's how they do it over here. Big time party. All right, see y'all later. Bye. Hi.
TV 1061, conceptualizing your ideas across the world and beyond.